I want to start with the biggest game of the day from the standpoint of the most stuff to talk about because good football is fun to watch, bad football is fun to talk about. And what we saw at the end of Bears Lions, and I got to give the Bears credit. I thought they were done. I thought they'd given up. After all those close losses, Rodney, I thought that just air was out of the balloon. They're down 16-0 in the first half. It should have been worse. I felt like they just wanted to go home. They brought it in the second half. And I was impressed by that. Before we tear them down for how they handled the end of the game, I was very impressed the Bears woke up in the second half.
Yeah, I was impressed too, Mike. In the second half, they came out, they played with just a sense of urgency. You saw Caleb Williams, he started getting hot, he started seeing some different things. Defensively, they started making some plays and just flying around. But that's what you need. But good teams do that for 4 quarters. You can't not do that in the first half and then turn it on in the second half.
We've seen a lot of games recently, too, where it's like two different teams. First half, teams horrible. Second half, they pull their way back into it. The Dolphins did that last night to a certain extent. We'll talk about that later. But the big news from the Lions Bears game, and I was thinking yesterday about memorable moments from prior Lions Thanksgiving games, and a couple of them stood out. The Jerome Bettis coin flip fiasco from 1998 from overtime. And I remember Dave Wilson returning the kickoff in 1980 for the Bears in overtime to win the game for Chicago. This is right up there from the standpoint of crazy stuff on Thanksgiving. The Bears, and I'll set the stage briefly here. The Bears had the ball 2nd and 20 on the Detroit 35 with 36 seconds left. Caleb Williams gets sacked. They got it to 41. 33 seconds on a ticking clock. They have a timeout. It's 3rd and 26. They got enough time to go up to the line of scrimmage, try to gain 8 or 10 yards, turn a 59-yard field goal attempt into 49, maybe. And like nobody knew what to do. I'd never seen anything like it before. And then all of a sudden, they finally snapped the ball with 6 seconds left. Caleb Williams throws the ball deep to Rome Odunze. Nothing happens. Game's over, and that's it. I couldn't believe it. And it all kind of like, it was like one of those dreams where you're trying to run and you feel like you're stuck in mud in slow motion. Like, what the hell are the Bears doing? I can't believe that happened. I can't believe Matt Eberflus is still employed. As of the moment we're taping this, it might change. But Rodney, what was your thought as you saw that all unfold?
Yeah, at that moment, Mike, that's when I knew that they needed a new coach. That's when I said Eberflus is not the right guy for this team. And I started saying, look, the Bears aren't a well-coached team. I look at Matt Eberflus, no situational awareness. No situational awareness. This is something that you practice in 2 minute on Friday. You walk through it, you watch tape on it, and you hound it. And the thing that made us as a team so successful with Coach Belichick is we spent 90% of our time, Mike, we spend 90% of our time preparing for situations. That's how we practice. Every day was a different situation. So when it came down to it, whether you're a starter, whether you're a backup, you were never shocked. You were never overwhelmed by the moment, by the situation. That's called coaching. That's called preparing your team for any situation that might come about. And for me to sit there and watch and the quarterback, the young quarterback, not have 2 plays in his pocket. You're supposed to be communicating, hey, this is the first play, this is the second play. If this happens, we're going to spike the ball. We're going to throw it out. We're going to call timeout. You're supposed to talk to the young quarterback. These are things that you go through over the course of a week. And it's bad coaching. And there's no way he should be. I like him. He's a nice guy, but he's the wrong fit for the Chicago Bears. They need more of an offensive-minded coach. They need a guy like a Ben Johnson to come in there, work one-on-one with Caleb Williams, because Eberflus is not the answer.
And as we tape this at 10:11 a.m. Eastern on Friday, my son just texted me that the Matt Eberflus Zoom is underway, business as usual. So he hasn't been fired. And the Bears have never, ever fired their head coach during the season. They've been around since 1919. Never fired a coach during the season.
Mike, you got to listen to the players. I mean, you see these players coming out. It's not like these players are answering questions, say, yeah, I believe in Coach Belichick. I believe that this is the coach that's going to take us and where we need to go. They're sitting back saying, I don't know what's going on. We don't have no leadership. I mean, this is what Eberflus And Ryan Pace and those guys that run the Chicago Bears, you have to take a look in that locker room and you have to remove the guy that everyone's bitter at. When you're walking in that locker room and they don't want to play for Matt Eberflus. He's a nice guy. He respects them. He treats them like men. Nobody's talking about his character, but he's just not the right fit as the head coach of this team. We saw DJ Moore and how upset he is and how inconsistent his attitude and personality is. It's a direct reflection of the head coach. And you got to remove him, name someone interim head coach, and move on.
And, think about this, Rodney. They're currently 4-8. They've lost 6 in a row.
Yep.
3 of those losses you can trace back to coaching flaws.
Yep.
The handling of the Hail Mary play. I don't care if a guy's screwing around. Well, I do care if a guy's screwing around, not ready. The coach needs to make sure these guys are ready. The coach needs to make sure that somebody's deeper than the last guy from the offense. So
especially a defensive-minded coach, Mike. Especially
right.
a defensive-minded coach.
Right. So that's one. Then they have a flaw in their field goal protection. Kick gets blocked. That's 2. They could have beaten the Packers with that one. And then this one, 3, another coaching flaw. They'd be, and I'm doing the math here, they'd be 7-5 right now and very much in the thick of things with those 3 games. And it comes down to that. That's why Belichick always harped on situational football. Those situations determine wins and losses. And when I watched Matt Eberflus's press conference after the game yesterday, and he defended what they did, which makes it even worse, I thought for a moment maybe he was just trying to protect Caleb Williams, because maybe Williams should have been more like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady would be in that setting and known what to do. But like you said, it's up to the coaching staff to make sure that rookie quarterback that you're going to put on the field knows what to do. And this isn't difficult because any kid that plays Madden knows what to do in that situation. You either call the play quickly so you have time after it to call timeout and kick the field goal, or you call timeout after the sack, which Matt Eberflus could have done from the sideline. I had a coach text me last night, hey, with 32 seconds, you call that timeout, you have time to run a play, get tackled in bounds, get your field goal unit out there, kick the field goal, and force overtime. You need at least 20 seconds to pull that off. You got 32 seconds when you start that play. If the clock's ticking when the play's over, you have time to kick the field goal and force overtime. So it should have been one or the other. Get a play off or call timeout. Not what they did. What they did was the worst possible thing that not even a junior high coach would do.
You talked about the 30 seconds, absolutely. And then when he's at the line of scrimmage, it ticks all the way down to 5 seconds. So that's 25 seconds to call a play. So you're telling me there's no situational awareness by your young quarterback. He seems like he's never, ever been through that situation before. And Mike, I don't know if you watched the game like I watched the game, but why does every pass seems like he's in a shotgun and he's taking a 5 to 7 drop in a shotgun? And it's like there's nothing quick where you can just get rid of the ball quick. No slants, no quick outs, no double ends to make it a lot easier for him. He's holding on to the ball too long. He's trying to do this USC thing in college, running around. This is the National Football League. And this kid is just messed up. And the fact that he's playing at times, you can say, wow, that was an incredible throw. That's all off a natural ability. They need to tear this thing apart. They need to bring in a guy like Ben Johnson who can really break this kid down and regrow him and really rebuild his confidence. That's what they need.
That really would be something, too, if Ben Johnson would jump from the Lions to a division rival in Chicago. They'd face each other twice a year. And I've been worrying about the Lions. Like, what are they going to do when Ben Johnson goes? Because he really is making that team go.
5 years, 60 million. I bet he's gone. That's what you do. You commit 5 years. You give him 12 to 15 million bucks a year. And you say, hey, this is on the table. And forget about that. If you're Ben Johnson within the division, hey, those are your homeboys. You had a lot of success, but you have to do what's best for you. And that's to become a head coach. And that's that. If I'm the Chicago Bears, that's who I'm going after. And I'm making a very aggressive pitch. I'm letting them know right off the top, I'm going to pay you whatever you need. I'm going to make sure all the resources are there for you. We need this thing turned around, because you're right, Mike. You look at some of this the last month of the season, and you look at the Bears and it's like, man, they could have won some of these games, but it's from coaching. And that's what's frustrating the players because they put so much effort, they put so much time into this, and they're looking at their coach. And every day that they walk in the locker room, they are freaking disgusted looking at him, saying, we could be 7-4, but you're holding us back. You're not making the right decisions. It's too much bitterness in the locker room. And if it's me and I'm the general manager, I'm moving on.
Yeah, a lot of players that have been speaking out, and there were multiple comments yesterday where the players thought they did enough to win.
Yes.
When the players say we did enough to win, what they're saying is the coach is the one who lost the game. We did our
Yes.
job. The coach didn't do his job. On Caleb Williams, there is like we've seen flashes of brilliance, but one of the things I always look for in a quarterback, especially how he moves and operates in relation to the other 21 players on the field, specifically the 11 defensive players. Does he understand how much time he has to fit the ball in? Does he understand how much time he has when he's running, like a Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes is always a half step ahead of whoever's chasing him, and he knows when to go in and out and weave around the bodies. He sees the openings. It's like, he's operating at a higher level of awareness. The play yesterday when Caleb Williams was running along the sideline, and I think he was trying to do almost like the Lamar Jackson freeze stop that we saw Monday night and
Yep.
have Jack Campbell, the Lions linebacker, go right by him. And he does this stop, and Campbell hits him in the leg. It looked like his left knee got blown out, caved in, and after the game, Williams was upset. It's like, dude, you became the runner there. Just get out of bounds. If you're going to make these moves in the open field, you have to know how much space and time you have. You have to know if you're going to stop and try to juke a linebacker that it's going to work. Otherwise, don't do it. He almost got his own ACL blown out
Hey,
on
Mike, but I
Thursday
tell
with
you,
that move.
man, that's a tough kid because that hit that he took, I thought his season would be over. I thought he was headed to IR. I'm like, oh my goodness, what a hit. And then he gets up, he stays in the game, and he continues to play. So that showed me a lot of toughness. This kid wants to be out there. And a lot of times when you see him out there playing, Mike, it doesn't seem like he really embraces his teammates because he feels like he should be doing so much better. Um, but I like the kid. At times, I think he's a little too greedy. When you're watching him, he'll have a 5-yard guy wide open in front of his face, but it seems like he always wants the deep pass. And if they can break him out of that habit, and that's what made Tom Brady so great for such a long time. Tom made the easy plays. He made the fundamental plays, the 5-yard check down. If it's not open down the field, but Caleb, he bypasses the 5-yard check down and he wants that 15-yard dig down the field. And he has to break those habits. This is the National Football League. He's not going to be able to make those plays. It's the simple plays that Coach Dungy and I always talk about these young quarterbacks having to make.
And I would assume, Rodney, from the perspective of a defensive player, if the quarterback is making all sorts of different throws, short and intermediate and long, and you never know what's coming, I feel like that's one of the keys to successful offensive football. You want the defense on its heels. Pre-snap, at the snap, during the play, we don't know what's coming next. When you become predictable that way and you're not incorporating short passing into your offense, then the defense knows we don't have to worry about that. You want the defense to worry about everything. And we talk about the defense having to defend every blade of grass. Well, it's not just the ones behind you. If you don't have to worry about the ones in front of you, it's a lot easier to defend the ones behind you. You have to worry about all of them. And I think that's what the Bears are missing, as you're saying. Caleb Williams wants to do too much. He's looking for that 14-point play that doesn't exist. There's no page in the playbook for a 14-point play, but it's
Well,
like he's
but
trying to do
Mike,
something big every time he has the ball.
yeah, think about this. At every level that he's played, he's been able to dominate. He's always been so much more physically gifted. He's always had better instincts than everybody, and he's always been a lot faster. So every level that he's played, he's had success. Now you get to the National Football League, you think that you holding the ball and running around and throwing, looking one way. No, that doesn't happen because these guys have mortgages, they have families, they have kids. They get paid millions of dollars to stop you. So he has to be able to adjust his game and not think that he can just come out here and do whatever the hell he wants to do. And I look at Keenan Allen too. Keenan Allen, he had a big penalty. His job is to stay composed. They brought you in because you're a veteran player, that veteran presence. to stay patient, to make sure that you're in control of everything. For him to lose control, throw the ball, and get that penalty, that was a huge mistake by him.
I want to flip it over to the Lions briefly. They're now 11-1, best season they've had since 1934. Could be the best season they ever have had in franchise history. One of the small handful of teams to have never gotten to the Super Bowl. Is there anything from yesterday that concerns you? They're up 16-0. It should have been worse. And then they let the Bears get back into it, but they ultimately win the game. We're used to them being dominant, but a lapse like that against the wrong team at the wrong time is going to get them knocked out of the playoffs potentially.
No, absolutely. And that's something that you have to develop a killer mentality. And that's just what it is. And I think Detroit Lions, they're learning, they're growing, they're learning how to beat this team. They're learning to basically beat a team that has a target on its back. And for me, one thing that I was not really concerned about, but I actually like was Aaron Glenn. To me, he's really shown that he's grown as a defensive coordinator. I mean, I see a lot more creativity, him dropping defensive tackles, him blitzing different guys, and he's really starting to have that confidence in his guys. They finally went out and got him the players that they need, Aleem McNeil, him and DJ Reader in the interior of that defense dropping. That's 700 pounds dropping into coverage. But this is the type of creativeness that Aaron Glenn has brought and the type of confidence that he's brought with this defense.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.